Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's ChrisXradio.
ChrisXradio. What we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country. This message must be read in every newspaper, heard on every radio, seen on every television. This message must resound throughout the entire intellect.
And now, your host.
I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
Chris X.
Good afternoon and welcome to ChrisXradio. It is your Monday edition of the program, or as I like to say, your manic Monday edition of the program. Glad to have you here with us as we are rocking and rolling. Got Harry Behemoth. I always call him Harry, but it's actually Gary Behemoth. Gary the Hairy Behemoth. Anyway, nonetheless, Gary has assumed control of the airwaves. He'll maintain control of these airwaves for the next 2 hours as we come bearing a gift beyond price that is almost free, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you the spirit of talk radio. I am the aforementioned X-Man, and as mentioned, Gary the Hairy Behemoth will be controlling the broadcast. Got a lot going on today, so we'll get into that. Of course, your calls are always welcome at 281-558-KSEV. That's 281-558-5738. All right, so as we get rolling here, first of all, by the way, before I get into the announcement stuff, thank God I'm feeling a lot better. But that I told you guys I had that respiratory virus last week. I don't know if I told you, but it was just that horrible stuff that kind of gets down into your lungs or whatever, and you're coughing it out. I've been coughing it out all weekend. Took it easy. Really didn't do much this weekend. Just running people around. Got a car in the shop. By the way, give a shout out to Jay over at Humble Amco Transmission and Specialist, and they're working on another vehicle for me, so that's good. Taking care of the transmission. Started freaking out, so Jay will get that taken care of. But he's the one that I trust with it. So if you got a problem with your transmission or just need general, car stuff, Humble Amco. People who know, go to Humble Amco. So there you go. And Jay's the guy that I always talk to over there. He's awesome, to say the least. Anyway, so other than running people around with that, just kind of hanging around trying to get better. And I'm feeling better. Still a little short-winded because, once you get this stuff, when you can't – it's so difficult at the worst because, the wheezing when you're trying to lay down and sleep and you just can't sleep. Anyway, I got past that. So I'm past that. I'll have a wheeze every now and then, but generally I'm not wheezing anymore, which is good. But I'm still just coughing up little bits and pieces of it, which is, that's enough. But I'll be glad when that's done. But just not feeling great. I feel a million times better. I actually feel almost normal now. So that's good. Ben, so far this year, I know I'm getting a little older. I understand that. But I got sick 3 times in February. The entire month of February was spent being sick with 3 different things. And I remember this respiratory thing was hitting, a bunch of people that I know at the end of February. And I was like, oh, God, I don't want to get this 4th thing. Well, I didn't get it. I didn't get it in February. I didn't get it in March. Didn't get it in April. But here in May, I got it. So I still got a little bit of that stuff in my lungs, so I'll be coughing that junk out for, I don't know, a few days, who knows. But nonetheless, I want to get rid of that. Also, if you guys were listening on Friday, I think it was during the first hour, Dan Patrick was on with the Amigos, and they were talking about some of the changes going on. And I learned, too, just as you guys did who were listening, starting in June, we will be broadcasting live on 700 a.m. and also simulcasting on 1540 a.m. In essence, sort of the signal's changing a little bit. So now we're traditionally our transmitter's on the northwest side, which is where it's been. So it's moving somewhere about 10 miles away. So it'll be a little different on the north side. So if you listen on 700 AM and you get us good, starting in June, keep listening. You may be affected by that. But also there's 1540 AM, which is on the south side. So we're going to be covering a lot more ground than we used to. So the signal pattern may change a little bit. We'll only know, I guess, when it kicks in June. But the signal is expanding. And Dan was saying that once again, this is another episode of us growing. He brought in a little unheard of Rush Limbaugh back in a long time ago, and we were the first station Rush Limbaugh was on. And I think it was early 90s. When did Rush go on the air in Houston? Well, he started here on KSEV. So this is another, after 38 years? So this is another element in the broadcast. So starting in June, we will be broadcasting live on 700 AM. So for some reason you have difficulty hearing us on 7 AM, check out 1540 AM. And you should be able to pick us up on that. Either or will get us. And then, of course, don't forget, you can always pick us up if you download the app onto your smartphone, the KSEV radio app. You can always download that and listen anywhere on your smartphone. Whenever I'm indoors, the AM signal doesn't, penetrate walls as well as we like. So whenever I'm indoors, I'm always listening on the app. Or, of course, on our website, ksevradio.com. You can get it there as well. So big changes coming up in June. Keep wanting to say January. It's not. I wish it was January. Boy, especially starting like tomorrow and the rest of the week. Do you see those temperatures? Do you see what's going to be happening? We're going to be in mid to upper 90s, they're saying, as this heat wave just pours in to southeast Texas, I guess. So we're going to get some serious heat, going to be up in the mid to upper 90s. So, yeah, not looking forward to that at all. I'm like, oh, my God, there goes those lower air conditioning bills. They're going to be a little higher. I'll just say that, guaranteed. I just hate that. I'm, like I said, being born and raised here in Houston, Texas, my 58 years, I'm kind of done with these really hot summers. I know, like I said, they didn't bother me for about 55 years. For about 55 years, I was like, summer's cool, man. It's summertime. I don't get summers off anymore, okay? And haven't for quite some time. So there's no real element to draw for me for the heat. But nonetheless, I'm kind of done with the summers. And what's bad is, as much as I hate to say it, I think that goes the cool with it, because we're already in May, folks. We're mid-May. It's May the 12th. So this is the time of year when those little late cold snaps go away and the heat rolls in. And usually it clears out about, early to mid-December, maybe? Somewhere around there. So that's when we'll start getting cold fronts again. Because it's I would say a 50-50. It's not. It's an 80-20 or 70-30 that we'll get a cold snap for Thanksgiving. Every now and then we get a cold Thanksgiving. Not very often. Usually it's pretty warm. And everybody the rest of the country is all like, oh, look at us. We're starting to put on our jackets. Or like, yeah, I'm still wearing my tank top and my shorts. Or as the ad was the PSA that plays, wearing my tank top and my short shorts. I'm going to do my dad dance for all your friends. I love that PSA. And the kids are like, okay, no, we'll do it. All right, well, then I'll just do my dad dance later at dinner. And the kids are all freaking out. And they're like, no. It's so funny looking back as kids. Remember what you thought was so important as kids. And then as an adult, you just go, oh, my God. Just that lack of experience and not understanding. By the way, happy Mother's Day belated for those who maybe didn't get to hear that yesterday. If you're a mom, you're appreciated. For those of you who hopefully you were able to talk to your mom or call your mom or see your mom, tell her happy Mother's Day. If you didn't call her and you have the ability to, call her tonight. Trust me on this one. You'll wish one day you'll look back and wish you could call your mom and your dad. For those who haven't gotten to that point in life yet, one day you'll wish, man, I sure would love to be able to call them, talk to them, wish them a happy holiday. And I think for the most part as an adult, I did pretty well on that. I would try to call mom, like I said, try to see her on her birthday, and I would do that. But now I'm going on 20 years now. 21 years. Sorry, not going on 20, going on 21 years. It's been 20 years since, Mom went to that great softball field in the sky. And man, that's Dad went in 21. So already 3-4 years on that. Time waits for no one. Waits absolutely for no one. All right, so let's get into it. If you want to join us, 281-558-KSTV. President Trump signed an executive order this morning to reduce drug prices in America to rates similar to what are those that in other nations are paying. This is what I voted for. I know a lot of people are going, price gouging, you MAGA went from MAGA to socialist. You guys don't understand what's going on, and we'll get into that. This is exactly what I voted for. Fairness on the world market, because America has been getting jacked for years. And when I say America, this is American people getting jacked, paying a ton of money. For those who don't have a ton of money, that means a lot. And then for those who have insurance, you think, oh, it's great. No, your insurance gets jacked, so then your insurance rates go up, so then the rest of us can't afford insurance either. So it hasn't gone in the right direction. So I'm glad Donald Trump is doing that. Also, I don't know if you guys saw, man, that end of the world, that stock end of the world thing, remember that stock market collapse and didn't even last a couple of weeks, definitely didn't last a month. And now, well, stocks surged today after the U.S. and China agreed to roll back tariffs for a 90-day period. We'll get into that as well. So Trump doing deals. It's funny now. We're now looking at 30% tariffs on China, and they're good with it now. Think about that. Look at the difference where we are today from 0% tariffs to now 30%. Okay, we can deal with that. China has been absolutely crushed because of the tariffs. People don't understand that. People who don't understand shipping and don't understand the market of the things that the junk we were getting from China, they have warehouses going out of business. It has affected them highly, so they were ready to negotiate, and it started happening over the weekend. From what I'm told, they've been talking since before that, but there you go. So we'll see. It's at least a 90-day period, and we'll see how this plays. The stock market's loving it. Stock market goes crazy. So they love it. And then you got the last American-Israeli hostage, Eden Alexander, was freed today. Now, remember, this is the last Israeli-American hostage. Last American. There are still Israeli hostages still being held by a terrorist group called Hamas. So, anyway, they're saying he was tortured. We'll get into some of that as well. President Trump has also confirmed that Qatar is giving the United States a luxury Boeing 747 jet free of charge, which at some point will temporarily replace Air Force One. So we can get into that. I got audio of him just embarrassing an ABC news reporter. I'd say embarrassing, but they have no shame. So it's going to be, they're not embarrassed. They're going to continue to be idiots. And then you've got Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is leading Republican Senator John Cornyn by double digits in the 2026 Texas U.S. Senate race, according to a recent Republican primary poll. Now, it's not all good news for Paxton. He has the lead, but then when you start accommodating somebody else jumping in the race and lining up against a potential Democrat, a candidate, then it's not as good. It also has found that in a head-to-head matchup with former Texas Representative Colin Allred, because they say he may jump in, or Beto O'Rourke, who's, of course, they're reportedly mulling another Senate run. Cornyn led by 6 points. Hunt led by 4 points. But Ken Paxton trailed by 1 point. This is according to Punchbowl News. So we're looking at a difference between a general and a primary that has to be taken in consideration when you go and vote in the primary. Because I know our voters, everybody's very emotional, and we get very angry, and we're just, I got to do this. Well, Wesley Hunt may jump in the race. We haven't heard yet. There's a lot of moving parts going on, and this is way early to make any determinations, but that needs to be part of the conversation as well, how whoever wins plays in the general. We got to be smart. We don't want to jump in and start turning seats over to Democrats just because we're angry. All right, 281-558-KSEV. I'm Chris X. We're just getting started. Let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back, pick up with Mike out in Tomball, and more of your phone calls if you want to join us as well. 281-558-5738. Don't you go anywhere. Chris X Radio is just getting started.
ChrisXradio. ChrisXradio. On AM 700 KSEV. The voice of Texas.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts.
Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and pruned tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can't replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use, it's very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory, my friend for over 40 years. Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees, and pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs, so don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree pruned. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Texas boasts the world's 8th largest economy. The Lone Star State is a global powerhouse and the best place in America for business. But there's a hidden tax that threatens our strength. Lawsuit abuse drives up our cost of living, costing Texas families nearly $4,600 every year. To kill the hidden tax, we have to end lawsuit abuse, to protect consumers, lower costs for hardworking Texans, and keep our economy strong. Paid for by Protecting American Consumers Together.
For many years, the Pine Box has been helping families gain insight into the often confusing and extremely expensive task of arranging a loved one's funeral. I have worked with Pine Box in the death of 2 family members because I know I can trust Chip Beresford at the Pine Box, he's the owner, to be sure that he walks me through that process and that I am prepared for the funeral and that I get the quality I seek without breaking the budget. Because it's a very difficult thing. No one wants to feel like a cheapskate handling a funeral of a loved one, but you also can't afford to go broke either. You know, funerals are statistically the 3rd largest expense in someone's life. The Pine Box sells the same caskets and funeral merchandise that is offered at funeral homes, but at a tremendous savings, and delivery is immediate and free within the Houston area. Visit their website, thepinebox.com, or call Chip directly at 1-888-PINE-BOX. That's 1-888-PINE-BOX. I trusted them, and you can. The Pine Box.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. If you're stuck in a timeshare that you no longer want, my friends at LoneStarTransfer.com can help. They're a family-owned company. They have helped tens and tens of thousands of owners break free from their timeshares over the last 15 years. They have an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. Now they're going to provide you with a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. Call them today, 833-594-0077, or online it's LoneStarTransfer.com.
Having the right map to financial success is important. Sadly, 95% of Americans fail to retire at age 65 with only $400,000 in savings. The good news is that there's a better way, a different map. Listen to the Total Wealth Academy radio show weekdays at noon to find out what the 5% who do succeed are doing differently. They focus on building multiple income streams that allow them to retire at any age. Total Wealth will show you how. The Total Wealth Academy radio show weekdays at noon here on KSEV.
Dan Patrick here. In June, things are getting bigger and better for KSEV. After 37 years, our signal is expanding, and you'll be able to listen to us on both AM 700 or AM 1540. It depends where you live and where you drive of which signal is stronger. Whichever signal is strongest for you, tune in to AM 700 or AM 1540. Bigger and better, coming in June. Thanks for listening all of these years. AM 700, KSEV, still the voice of Texas.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters, and we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source. And these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Fake news hates us. Fake news hates us. Chris X Radio. Chris X Radio.
Just enjoying the awesomeness that is the Stone Temple Pilots. Man, they were so good. I don't know how they sound with their new singer. They got a new singer. From what I heard, I think they're on tour. I don't know. I have to go check them out. I imagine if they hired somebody, they're not going to do like Soundgarden did and go woke. Oh, my God. That was... I don't know if that was a real thing or not. It was definitely Soundgarden, but they went woke and hired a black woman who sounded like she could sing. She just couldn't sing Soundgarden very well. And it was it was embarrassing. It's like, oh my God, it wasn't the same because, they had to have a new singer too. Anyway, okay, welcome back to Chris X Radio on your Manic Monday edition. Glad to have you here with us as we're rocking. If you want to join us, weigh in on any or all of what we're talking about, 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. Let's go out to Tom Ball, pick up with Mike. Mike, thanks for hanging on. Welcome to Chris X Radio.
Hello, Chris. Enjoy your show. You do an excellent job. So,
thank you, Mike.
Your point about the polling on Cornyn and Paxton is well appreciated. So, but that's not what I wanted to talk to you today about. Republicans, including the administration, have proposed to raise the top rate income tax from 37 to 39.7. A millionaire's tax on anybody that makes more than $2.5 million individually and $5 million for a couple. And that's not what Republicans do, Chris. That's redistribution of wealth, plain and simple. Because they're doing it so they can fund the other tax cuts part of it. And I disagree with that. I know the administration is not 100% board on with it, but they said he would accept it if it made it into the bill. That's not what Republicans do. Republicans don't support redistribution of wealth. I don't care who it is, which Republican it is. It's not right. It's not right to take 40% of what a person earns and redistribute it. And the other thing that bothers me is Hawley of Missouri doesn't want to do any cuts in Medicaid. Medicaid. They won't even take a cut if someone is able-bodied and can work. They don't want to do that. He doesn't want to do that. What's going on with the populist wing of the Republican Party when they're proposing not even that, and they want to raise tax rates on people? I don't agree with it, and I think it's wrong. It's socialism. That's what the Democrats want to do. Those two things are Democrat issues, not ours as Republicans.
Well, I'll say this. If the Republicans think they're going to get away with raising taxes on Americans, they need to go back and look up George Herbert Walker Bush. They hung that around his neck and ruined his political career because of it. And absolutely, what you're saying is right. Now, I don't know if it's going to get in there. I don't know what's going to happen. But I just don't. You don't campaign on tax, cuts and then turn right around and then raise taxes. Even if it is on multimillionaires, whatever, I don't have to worry about being in that category because I'm far from it. But it doesn't matter because if you think you're going to be able to go through there and raise Americans' taxes as Republicans, that will crush them. That will absolutely destroy them in the midterms, and it will absolutely, if it goes into effect, will kill Republicans in the next election, and we can get geared up for even more, taxes coming in because they will go and they'll vote for a Democrat saying, well, why should I vote for a Republican? They raise taxes too. So I agree with your sentiment, and I think it's a very foolish thing to run on.
Yeah, it's The top 1% of wage earners already pay 46% of the federal income tax.
Yeah.
Okay? They're paying the vast majority of it is. Now, the bottom 50 don't pay anything, and then the rest is in the middle. But I just can't believe there are Republicans in the House, and some of the administration cabinet people are talking about, oh, we can raise it just a little so we can fund our program. No, you don't do that. If the administration signs that bill with that kind of tax increase in there, we're going to lose the House of Representatives in the next election. Mark my word.
I'm right there with you. I guarantee it.
You know,
in fact, here's my question. Hold on. Before you go, Mike, before you go further, listen, we were told tariffs can knock all this out, and everybody was against tariffs, but now all of a sudden, all those people that were saying, well, you know what, I guess I was wrong about tariffs because Trump is proving he's smarter than most people, especially fiscally, so anyone who was against tariffs, doesn't matter, you can still be against tariffs, but if that was the whole purpose, getting better deals, saving money, whatever. So the point is, going to that aspect of it, then there you go. But I don't know how serious this tax talk is. Any Republican who thinks he's going to somehow garner favor in a Republican primary or general election, especially, thinks he's going to garner favor by saying, I'm for raising taxes on rich people, he's done. That guy is not going to win unless he somehow. So like I said, like you said, I will guarantee you they will get destroyed in the primaries, and that will probably carry over and into the next election.
Yeah, I agree. Trump on tariffs. I'm against tariffs philosophically, okay? Unless you're doing tariffs to handle a fair trade issue like subsidized steel or subsidized stuff being imported, and you use tariffs to bring it up to equilibrium. I don't agree just raising tariffs as a revenue raiser. I don't agree with that. That's a tax. Now, Trump did it for a couple of reasons. One, to bring China back in line, and two, he did it, to try to equalize the things. There's nothing wrong with tariffs per se when you're using them for specific purposes. But I don't believe in broad-based tariff increases. That's just my personal feeling. I don't like them. I think they're a tax that the American consumer will eventually pay one way or the other, depending on what they tax. But he's using it to bargain, and that makes sense to some degree. I don't like that we've had to go through this up and down in the stock market. I've lost tons of money. It's coming back.
Wait, hold on. Wait, did you sell, Mike? Did you sell in the last month?
No, I did not.
You didn't lose a penny. You're up 25+%. If you didn't sell anything since April, you didn't lose anything. So the next time someone tells you lost money in the stock market, unless you sold when it was down, it is up 25% across the board now.
I did not sell anything because the best thing to do is just hang on Snoopy, as they say.
There you go.
Let it ride. Let it ride. But I just wanted to you made that point about George Bush. I was on George Bush's campaign team at a state level back in '88 when he raised taxes. I told the campaign the president of the United States is going to lose and going to have a big primary issue because he raised taxes and promised he wouldn't. And they said, oh, Mike, he's got a 90% approval rating because of the war. What happened? He got his britches beat. Okay?
Yeah, they don't.
And people need to remember that. You brought it up. You've got a good memory. People don't remember that. But watch and see what happens if this tax increase gets in this budget bill. Watch and see what happens.
Thank you for the call, Mike. I don't think it will, but you're right. If it does, read my lips. No new taxes. It will come back to haunt the Republicans, and they'll get smoked in the primaries, and then they'll eventually get smoked in the next general election as well. So we can just say goodbye to all the power they've garnered in the last election. So if they, for some reason, think they can somehow just pull off a tax hike, there you go. And also, once again, the misnomer, the media's running around telling people what you just said. Well, I may have lost a lot of money in the last month. No, you didn't. If you didn't sell, you didn't lose a thing, and you're up about 25% now in a month. That's how bad the tariff situation was. And as I always say, everybody talks about tariffs. I don't like them. If they're so terrible, why the hell do all these other countries have them on us? And we have seen that what Trump is doing, he is negotiating with these other countries, getting better deals. I am 100% behind what Trump has been doing. And once again, if he decides to raise taxes, that's a big mistake. Huge mistake. All right, let's take a quick break. Michael, hold on. We'll get to you on the other side. You're listening to Chris X Radio. We're just getting rolling. Like I said, I can't see Republicans being that dim. I can see an occasion they'll do that because that's oftentimes what happens. But just go back and look at history. Now, there's no guarantees with history, but if Republicans start raising taxes, that gives Democrats that fuel to go, well, why don't you vote for us? I mean, at least we were honest. We told you we were going to raise taxes. And then they will raise them 100 times more than what the Republicans would have. But it doesn't matter. People vote emotionally. People don't hear what they want to hear. That's why anytime someone says something like, well, I lost money. Well, did you say? Oh, no, you didn't. You didn't lose anything. That is wrong. That is incorrect. That's a talking point. I want to correct it immediately so it doesn't become that. Thank you for the call, Mike. Appreciate it. 281-558-KSEV. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
ChrisXradio. Texas born, Texas raised. The voice of Texas.
This is Paul Betancourt. County Appraisal District property values are out and up, especially for higher-end residential and commercial property owners. Sign up my professional Betancourt tax advisors team at btanow.com, and we'll go to work fighting to lower your property tax bills. The Taxman says do it now.
Sign up with Betancourt Tax Advisors by going online to btanow.com or by calling Paul's professional property team at 713-263-6100.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. Our country's founding fathers drafted a document that is the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. My friends at O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe we're at a precipice in time where we must take back our country. We must stand up for our freedoms or lose them forever. Please don't sit idle and let it slip away. Don't let anyone force you to do something you choose not to. As JFK said, if not us, who? If not now, when? If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give O'Hara & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Nix Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nix Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nixplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
This is Jack Gonzalez, and if you're looking for great home health or hospice care for you or a loved one, then join me and Phoenix Cannibal for the Avatar Home Health and Hospice Show this and every Sunday at 12 noon here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
This report sponsored by Gallery Furniture. If made in America is important to you, come to Gallery Furniture. Buy it today, get it today. Gallery Furniture saves you money.
From the KSEV Weather Center, this afternoon brings plenty of sunshine with a high of 87. Tonight will be clear with a low of 68. Tomorrow expect more sunshine. It will be breezy, breaking the 1907 record of 94 with a high of 96. Wednesday starts breezy, turning to sunny to partly cloudy and hot, breaking the 2018 record of 93 with a high of 96. With the KSEV Weather Center forecast, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Gallery Furniture, true customer story. Customer call said, my husband's coming home from the hospital 2 days early. Can you get a Max Z-Recliner delivered at home in 3 or 4 hours? He's got to sit great, and he's got to sleep in that recliner all night long. The answer is yes, yes, yes. Buy online at galleryfurniture.com. Buy on the phone, 281-844-1963. Buy in-store. Your Max Z-Recliner Gallery Furniture delivers free in 3 or 4 hours, and your loved one will sit great and sleep great all night long from Gallery Furniture.
This is Paul Betancourt. Tune in to AM 700 or AM 1540, whichever signal is strongest wherever you live or work. Still the voice of Texas, AM 700 and now AM 1540, beginning in June.
Shop's back! 50 years in the Lone Star State, a one-stop shop so you're never late. Price is so low that you want to know which way to spec. Come on, let's go. Specs, wine, spirits, and fine foods. World-class service, that's all about you. Shop Specs, it's how we do. A huge selection since 62. Shop Specs, low priced, amazing. Here's to you. Shop. Cheers
And now, back to Chris X Radio. Chris X Radio on the voice of Texas.
Cowbell kicks in like that, I immediately start air drumming. Can't help it. We need more cowbell. This song has it. Louisiana way. I can't sing like this guy. Leslie West with Mountain, which, by the way, this is a remake. There's that cowbell. Speaking of, I see somebody on the line we'll get to here shortly. All right, welcome back to Chris X Radio. I'm the aforementioned X-Man. Glad to have you here with us as we are just really getting rolling. We're already in the third segment of the program. Man, we have this segment and then one more, and then we'll rock out hour number 2 as well as we go Monday through Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. here. And then the Amigos take over on Fridays from 4 to 6. So we do our Friday show on Thursday. If you heard on Friday, by the way, last Friday, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick was there, and he went on the air and talked about a lot of things. But he also mentioned starting in June, we will be broadcasting live on 700 a.m. and 1540 a.m. We're doubling our signal, which is crazy. All right, so 700 a.m., we will continue to broadcast. I know there's going to be some tweaks to that signal. And then 1540 a.m., which is on the south side. So we're going to be covering a whole lot more ground, apparently, than what we currently cover. So if for some reason, if your area, you normally listen on 700 a.m., if you have issues, you can flip over to 1540 a.m., listen right there. And for some reason, if you ever have issues on both, you guys know by now, you can download the KSEV app and listen anywhere. That's what I do when I'm inside, because hardly any AM signal penetrates walls anywhere, at least not in the areas I've lived. Anyway, starting in June, KSEV, the voice of Texas, continues, and now on an additional AM dial signal, and we're going to stay on 700 AM as well. So 700 AM, and then mark your, which this is actually good, because now in my car, I've got a sports station program that I don't listen to, ever. So I will replace it with 1540 AM. So then I'll have 700 AM and 1540. Anyway, so he was in, and then I just heard the ad, we're talking about it, and I'm, for the life of me, Gary Bohemoth, I don't know why you allow El Senador Paul to have a few drinks before he records his ads. I just don't know why you allow it. I don't think, no, he wasn't really drunk. He just sounds like it. Then again, who knows? It could have been with the Amigos. He could be drunk on pizza. Oh, there we go. We got the ringing bell. That's what I need to. Give me a Hillary laugh. Come on, Gary. Give me a blah, 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 or whatever. He's like a little kid. See, there you go. There. Okay, so I would play the Hillary song, the Hillary Hill Dog Dance Off, but I have to save that for another time. All right, 281-558-KSEV if you want to join us, 281-558-5738. Let's go out to Michael, who's been patiently holding in Woodville. Michael, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to Chris X Radio.
He must have been hanging out with drunk Dave.
Maybe he was hanging, this is true. They're trying to get things passed in the House. Maybe he was hanging out with drunk Dave Phelan. We don't know, so it's possible.
Hey, now I'm from Beaumont, and the Phelans are, they own a lot of stuff around there.
Yeah, from what I'm told, he comes from a family with a lot of money. All right, go ahead and make your point, yeah.
Should I vote? You told me to vote for a Republican no matter what, and I voted for John Cornyn last time. And I think I would have rather voted for the Democrat. At least I'd have known what I was getting.
Well, I'll say this. John Cornyn voted 70+% of the time with the Republican Party. Had you voted for a Democrat and Democrat got in, you would have got 0% of the time. So did you make the right vote or did you make the wrong vote?
Well, didn't have much of a choice, did I?
Well, you didn't answer my question. I said John Cornyn voted with the Republican Party in the last.
Okay, I voted for the right one.
Well, there you go.
So that's what it comes to. The Democrat was back then, but
MJ Hagar.
Oh,
So you made the right decision, even though you're frustrated with John Cornyn's vote. So what I'm doing is keeping it real. So now this time you do have well, it's still early, but you do have a primary coming up with John Cornyn. You're going to have the option to vote for Ken Paxton or John Cornyn or possibly Wesley Hunt. We don't know if he's going to get in, and then we can kind of see how we think they're going to play out against, a Democrat candidate, which we don't know who's going to be the Democrat person they put up now just yet either. But this time you got a choice, so you don't necessarily have to vote for Cornyn. And if you really want to get rid of them, and a primary is the way you do it, and you actually have some choices this time.
Well, we have two good politicians in this state that I know of, and one of them's Ken Paxton, and the other one is on your Dan Paxton. What's his name? Dan Patrick? Doesn't he own your radio station?
Yeah, Dan Patrick is the owner and the founder of KSEV. And he's lieutenant governor. So, yeah, he's on the ballot as well. You'll get a chance to vote for him, too.
Well, those two guys right there, I believe in them wholeheartedly. But John Cornyn, it just irks me every time I hear him. Because he was talking about getting Trump's endorsement. And I was wanting to call Trump up and say, please don't do that.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see if Trump endorses. Because the other thing, too, is Trump endorsed, Attorney General Ken Paxton in his last election. So we shall see. It's funny, this time of year, though, anytime we start getting close to the election, John Cornyn becomes all of a sudden so conservative. He's ready to put to death illegal immigrants who are breaking, really terrible laws in our country. So he's ready. He's all acting like a conservative again. And he tends to get real conservative right before the election in order to get reelected. So there's that.
Yeah,
that
he puts his cowboy boots on and talks like, I'm one of you guys, I'm the good old boy and all that, but he's really not.
Well, he is about 70+% of the time. I mean, he's, like I said, he's better than a Democrat. I'll give him that, but that ain't saying much. Thank you for the call, Michael. It's a good question, and once again, I am not a big John Cornyn defender. What I am a defender of is being smart in our elections so we don't get schooled by the people we think are stupid, which are Democrats. They're not stupid. Yeah, they're radicals and they're crazy, but they're very smart with their elections. So, and John Cornyn is, once again, he has done some things that I am not a fan of and absolutely don't like it. But that being said, there are people that claim John Cornyn never votes with us at all. No, if you actually go back and look at his voting record, you will find that he's 70+% of the time, 75%, +%, whatever, with exactly what we want. But that's not good enough. We want somebody who's with us a whole lot more. Now, that being said, we also want somebody who can win the election, because if you can't win the election, it doesn't do any good when you get Democrats who vote with us 0% of the time, and they're radicals and will destroy everything that we want, that we want for our side. So we have to be very careful with that to make sure we don't, jump from the frying pan into the fire. I've seen us do that so many times. And I'm sorry, and this goes for multiple people, you can't I don't think campaigning on the fact that, look, I'm not a Democrat is a good campaign strategy. I think it's a bad one. So, but that being said, in a general election, John Cornyn always plays pretty well, and it makes sense because he's a moderate. Therefore, he'll pull in independent votes and, very few Democrats, but he'll pull in some moderates and some Democrats. So that makes sense. So he can play pretty well in that, arena. But when, like I said, looking at the polling, depending on who's going to get it, like I said, we're hearing rumors that Beto O'Rourke may jump in the general primary as a Democrat, or Colin Allred, who actually got smoked by Ted Cruz in the last election. They're thinking about jumping in and running, which means Democrats will pour $100 million into Texas once again, trying to flip that seat. According to this Republican primary poll, John Cornyn leads over, say, a Colin Allred. If those two are the nominees, he said he leads them at this point by 6 points. And then if Wesley Hunt jumps in, he leads them by 4 points. But Ken Paxton trailed by 1 point. This is according to Punch Bowl News. Now, give that what it's worth. We do know that Ken Paxton, who I'm a big fan of, and if it's John Cornyn and Ken Paxton, chances are I'm voting for Ken Paxton in the primary. And right now, in the Republican primary poll, Paxton is ahead of Cornyn by 16 points, 56 to 40% in a two-way poll. So, but I don't think this race is going to end up being a two-way race. I think that Wesley Hunt's going to jump in the race because I'm already hearing the rumors of all the people wanting to jump in and take his seat. So, but it's not just that. It's whoever gets this. It wouldn't shock me if John Cornyn gets beat in a primary. He's got a lot of negative publicity, especially among Republicans. So, but that's his own doing. But we shall see. Anyway, good call. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. I'll tell you what, let's take a short break, and we'll come back and wrap up this first hour. I think we got a cracker hornet, call him that, on the line. I bet you he has some cowbell. In fact, he's one of the few that has too much cowbell, if you know what I mean. 281-558-KSEV. I'm Chris X, and we'll get into a lot more of this here as we get going. Once again, final segment of the first hour coming up, but don't you go anywhere. Hour number 2 is locked and loaded.
Chris X Radio.
Let's be honest, no one ever thinks about their garage until it stops working. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage is noisy or if it struggles to open, your garage door is in need of repairs. Recommended all over Houston, Garage Door Doctor is your trusted partner for all your garage door needs. Let the experts at Garage Door Doctor tune up your garage door and keep it running for a lifetime. Schedule an appointment today at garagedoordoctor.biz or call today.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts.
Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and pruned tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can't replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use, it's very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory, my friend for over 40 years. Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees, and pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs, so don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree prune. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
The voice of Texas. The voice of reason. Chris X Radio.
This is our homage to Mother's Day. Little Winnie Grab, it's always on the road. This is one of my favorite songs. Let Love Rule. It might be this one. I'm not sure now, but it's a perfect Mother's Day song, especially with Slash on guitar. Slash jumps in for the solo on this one. Pretty good. All right, so during the break, I was watching a video. Savannah Hernandez, Sav Says, love Sav Says. I need to get her back on the show. Shows a video of liberal white women are now flashing love signs and blowing kisses to the illegal immigrants being bussed into the ICE detention center in New Jersey. That's the same facility that is housing murderers, child rapists, MS-13 gang members, and terrorists are being held. That's what these clowns on the left don't understand. I'm sure you heard the story about the mayor of New Jersey and the lefty Democrats that were there fighting with ICE people over the... These people are despicable. I'm glad they're showing their love and support for people not of this country and people that are child rapists and murderers and people that hack up. Did you guys see the MS-13 gangbanger that got convicted for hacking up 4 people with machetes in the last few days? Did you guys see that? Yeah. That's who these idiots are supporting. And when I say idiots, you're an idiot. Those people are idiots. Anyway, all right, welcome back to Chris X Radio. This is the final segment of the program. Don't you go anywhere. We got hour number 2 locked and loaded. All right, let's go catch up with the murder hornet out in Pearland. Robert, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to Chris X Radio.
We're sorry. No one is here to play the bell.
It's funny. You just said there's no one there to play the bell, but then you played the bell.
Well, I'm a nobody. Everybody knows that. Thank you. Congratulations, by the way, on your new Chris X station, 24 hours a day, 1540. That's awesome. Chris, how are you going to handle working 144 hours a week?
Well, I'll do my best. I'll do what I can.
You're a good man. I need your help with something. I'm going to tell you a short riddle, and I need you to say why when I set it up. Is that too much to ask?
It's possibly. Let's see if I can do it. Let me get prepared. Let me sit down.
All
okay,
right.
I'm prepared. Let's see how I do.
All right. Why did the library need a jet?
I don't know why.
So that wherever it goes, it will make the sound.
Is this where we're supposed to insert a laugh? It was a. There we go. We had to insert a laugh.
There you go. Laugh track. I finally got my laugh track. Thank you so much. That's about Trump. Anyhow, last week you were talking about a senator. So I said, Chris, in my mind, I said, Chris, you ever go walking in your neighborhood at night and your neighbors have been negligent with their pets, and you finish your walk and you get home and you notice you have some schmuck on your shoes and you have to wipe it off, and you throw away the tissues in a bag and you're walking that out to the trash can. You ever realize at that moment that you're carrying the makings of a New York senator?
I was going to try to make that joke when you were done, but then you actually made the joke. So I think he deserves another Hillary laugh on that one.
Problem is, I'm never done. By the way, I have really messed up. I have ended up in the Jimmy Excrement house. You heard the call. His Holiness, Jimmy X. I'm waiting outside of Conn's right now for someone to buy a refrigerator so I can get the box and cut a square hole in the front of it and tape a mesh so that over the hole so Cardinal X can take my confession. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do 5,000 Hail Marys, but I will say I was raised Catholic. My brother was an altar boy. My kids, the kids in my family were all a year and a half apart. That's pure Catholic. 4 boys and 1 girl. We were all named Robert, including my dad. I was in the Legion of Mary, and I dare any of your people to know what that is. But that's a 19-year-old long-haired hippie hanging out praying with 70-year-old women. And 20 years of going through the Mass, I never once saw a Bible. But you can read my testimony at diligentmusic.weebly.com, where I got my email, my phone number. So Jimmy X, give me a call. Speaking of Jimmy X, Jimmy, I know my comments hurt you to the bone. May I recommend some cryotherapy for His Eminence? Dude, I know you're a big deal in spiritual circles, but even God has a sense of humor. Look, when they announced they elected a pope named Robert, naturally I thought they were talking about me. Honest mistake. Hey, Jimmy, one word, indulgences.
I like how you ended that. Thank you for the call, Robert Murder Hornet the third. I think he's the first. Pope Robert Murder Hornet the first. We'll go with that. And you ended that with a really weak cowbell, but then you followed it up with some really good, strong follow-ups. I don't understand how I got in the middle of you and Jimmy X. I don't quite haven't figured that one out. But nonetheless, I appreciate your call, and I did not realize you come from a long line of Roberts. I would figure it would be more like a long line of murder hornets, or Bobbies. Could be a long line of Bobby Bouchers. I think we got the Hillary laugh and we lost our outro music. So, all right, well, we're done for the first hour. Let's go ahead and take a break. You're listening to Chris X Radio. We'll come back with hour number 2. And if you want to try to follow up that, good luck to you. 281-558-KSEV. We'll be right back for hour 2.